Welcome to the GitGud Podcast, episode 12. As always, I'm Bruce, and I'm joined by the one and only Magnus. Magnus, how you doing? That's how we always start now, isn't it? Just simple, how you doing? How you doing?
Well, are you asking how I'm doing, or is it a how you doing?
Well, I did. This is. I found this in America because it's a very British thing to be like, "You all right?" Which is like, "Hi." But I asked someone that in America, and they were like, "Yeah, no, my life is good." Like telling me the whole life story. I was like, you no, I didn't mean that literally.
Yeah. Well,
but to you, I mean it literally. How are you doing?
I'll refrain from the life story, but it's been good. We had a nice start to 2025 in some regards, and not so nice in other regards. So for life, that is very normal. Nelly is doing great. She's almost had no fever this year until now. I think maybe a single day where she was a bit fuzzy and stuff like that, and she's still in the nursery, and now she's almost there full time. I try to keep her a maximum at 6 hours ish at least, and she's doing much better. Not so. She had a bit of a cough, but even that went away, and now it's only. And we know now when an eye starts getting slimy, we just.
You're like, hey, it's time to get some more eye infections in this household.
Yeah, and I can even, I think I told you, I can even kind of feel it today. It is a bit itchy and starting to get kind of you can't really see any pus yet, but it becomes kind of, you can feel that it is slightly more sticky.
You don't need your eyes for painting.
Yeah, this go around, I will just use the drops right away because I don't need to figure out, okay, so this is actually bad. Now it's really hurting.
No, don't do that. Always with anything that's even suspected, just get it in there.
Normally I'm actually of the mind that don't use medication when you don't need to. So I don't usually actually take painkillers and stuff like that. But also I found out if you just wait with this and it gets kind of really red and sticky, and I get some drops and I can paint and whatnot, but I can't paint for very long, like an hour or two, and then it's just too much. So I think I'm just with this thing. I need to just use the drops.
I mean, I do like the dichotomy of, look, I only use medication when it's necessary. Red Bull all the time. No problem.
Yeah, but it's also very... I mean, we talked about it just before jumping on here. I have 5 uncompleted tasks going about the house right now, and I need to pick up a baby in 2 hours, and we also recording before. So, I mean, maybe that kind of medication is kind of needed too.
You think? Maybe? So life is mixed in the Nielsen household.
It is.
And that is life. I never trust someone when it's like, how is life? Wonderful. Everything is going exactly as according to plan. This is fine. I am very tired. This is...
Yes.
I got tripped up. So I was working last night. I have another job that I do. And,
well, it's basically a job and a half. Also, actually, the other one.
Yeah, just a little bit. So I was doing that, and I finished late. Not a problem. I enjoy my work, and I was like, right, okay, I shall turn into bed, get some good sleep because then I got to get up for the gym, which is fine. And then at 2 a.m. This is probably about midnight, which is late for me. Usually I'm 9 o'clock in bed, kind of thing. 2 a.m. the dog runs up the stairs and jumps on me, which, okay, strange.
Yeah.
And she's like, it's time to play.
Oh, no, like, what?
Yeah. And I'm like, no, it's like, no, it is 2 a.m., dog. Like, what are you doing? And I'm a really light sleeper at the best of times. Like I have moved into my new routine, which is like eye mask and earplugs, and like I try and block out the world. Holy moly! Yeah, and it's good living, but doesn't help you when a dog jumps on you.
No.
And so like after like 10 minutes of calming her down, well, I'm up then. Like I'm awake.
Jesus Christ.
So I try and get back to sleep, and it just does not happen. So at 4 a.m., like 2 hours of this thrashing and turning, and like because I try and like read a little bit, see if it like, resets my brain.
Yeah.
I just gave up and went to the gym, and that's been my day. So this is fine. This is fine. I'm on the caffeine at the moment. That's A-okay. So if this goes off the rails, we'll know why.
Yeah. Damn, how did you manage with an infant?
I mean, Cora's not an infant. She's 8.
No, but she was at some point, right?
Yeah. I mean, we didn't have the dog then, so that was fine.
Yeah, but that, I mean, well, I guess if I get woken up 3-4 times a night, either by a baby or a cat doing whatever, or me having a piss or whatnot, that's normal. I mean,
yeah. I mean, there's definitely parts of the newborn phase which I have just straight blotted out of my memory. Like,
I can't remember anything.
Yeah, because I know she was a bad newborn. That was not an easy phase, but so much of like the particulars of that, like I'm just wiped because I know like academically that the routine was typically I would leave for work around about 7 a.m. I'd do a day of work, come home around about 5, 6. Then I'd typically be up with Cora till about like midnight, just past midnight. Then I'd hand off the baby shift to my wife, sleep for a few hours, and then go back to work. And thus the cycle continues. But of course, throughout all of that, there'd be a lot of baby crying. And so like at a certain point, I think my psyche's just like, look, my friend, to protect you from this, we'll just
I'll fix this. I'll fix it.
I'll put a note in here, which is like, this was really bad. But other than that, you don't have to worry about the particulars.
No. Let's forget about all this.
Now I come home, she come down at 5 a.m. because that's when I got back from the gym. She's like, Daddy, I want to play Roblox. I'm like, you know what?
Yes.
I don't have the energy to argue. You can have Roblox at 5 a.m.
Yeah, you can just do that.
Just go for it. Yeah. She was playing with a chatbot in Roblox. That scared me. Someone just like mainline ChatGPT into Roblox. So I come down.
Really?
And she was typing to a robot. I'm like, this is bad. I have to stop this now.
Moly.
Yeah. Watch what your kids do. Very important life lesson there. There's a good parenting tip.
It's not like I will say about that Roblox thing. Well, some of it is not great, but it definitely helped. Silas actually was ahead of curve on almost anything because of counting coins in whatever game, so you could get whatever the tool or whatever to mine some things or do some things. So with that, and he lots and lots of English and American phrases that children don't know, he actually knew. So I mean, for some things it's not the worst, but it's not like
double-edged sword, isn't it?
Especially now that he's like, oh, I really want to play because he misses playing the thing he really likes to play.
And then I'm taking Cora to swimming, and she says, "What the Sigma?" And I'm like, "No."
Oh my God! Dude.
No, I'm not having this brain.
It's funny because we had that skibbity toilet phase, whatever. We had it right when the first videos popped up on YouTube, and then it kind of died out because no one was on that whole thing. And we laughed about that face in the toilet and whatnot, and then it died out. And then like 6 months later, it was all over. But we had been there.
So, we were there first.
Yeah, but that meant... So Silas and his friends, they aren't on it at all.
Because it's all to them.
Yeah, they just don't use that terminology for anything, and they aren't into it because they already kind of went there, and then it's like, yeah, this is a bit boring too. So let's just move on, because no one was doing it. It was just those stupid videos, and yeah.
So we don't have to talk like the youngins, and I don't have to edit this like next to a Minecraft bit of footage that people can
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Five times speed Minecraft and just building stuff, and oh my god, dude.
Right. First item on the agenda is we got a late Christmas present / early New Year's present, which was we finally got confirmation that Golden Demon was happening at Adepti-con, which having booked the tickets, organized everything, that was a relief. And then Games Workshop were like, look, okay, we've confirmed this. You can have a little bit of calm, but we're going to put out really ambiguous rules about basing and not clarify them for a little bit of time. What do you think about that, chaps? So
that was
talk
great,
me through this. Talk me through this.
It was terrible, dude. I mean, we got the rules update, and everyone is kind of skimming through, right? Because, okay, maybe they changed something, and it looked like they didn't, and then it looked like, oh, so they actually changed pricing, right? Or placing, or whatever you want to call it. So now they wanted to do, basically switch around pin and commended.
Finalists.
Finalist and commended. And then initially the talk was actually, so do you get a pin? Do you get a pin for notable, commended, and finalist? Do you get all of them if you get one of them? Do you get, so that was the first talk, right?
Has someone just done find replace on the Word document, and actually no one's getting anything, which...
Yeah, and we kind of jumped a bit into that and talked about, because, well, there are reasons to changing it, but is it really necessary at this point? And who would even like benefit from it, right? And so we talked a bit about it, and then I can't remember where or who or whatever, but I remember distinctly noting it said bases needs to be appropriate, except when they need to be gaming bases. For example, 40K single. Only area it was worded like that, it did not state anything about a gaming base anywhere else, only there. Yeah. And it felt so strange, because that was definitely not a copy-paste thing, because it had never been like that before. And that's kind of why I'd say a fair few people were scared.
Like, as someone that just completed a 40k single model on a bigger base than perhaps would have been gaming, I was a little bit frightened of that.
Yes, exactly. It was something where, oh shit, do they actually mean only the base that comes in the box, or do they actually mean a plinth, the size of the, you cannot go wider, or do they mean gaming base, but you can put it on top of the plinth? And it like no one really knew, and everyone was really scared. Because also, like, the rules update, it wasn't like it came 6 months in advance, right?
Oh no, yeah, we
like 80 days out or something.
Yeah,
it was so close that I would wager if you were planning to bring more than one entry, they would probably be planned out, most of them, and I'd say most of them started too, in some capacity. So having to rip things off a base or a plinth or whatever, or even just rethink an entire lineup of entries would be pretty... Yeah.
Horrifying is perhaps the term that sprung to mind for me.
Yeah, it would not be a good time. And I also, so this is obviously speculation. I have no way of knowing, but I kind of think that someone must have said, this is not a great idea, so stay with what we have. And Like it's not that I'm not against changing things. I'm against changing things just to change them. I don't think there is a reason to change something just for the sake of it, because I don't think really it needs a shakeup. It would have been to fix something, right?
Yeah, and the debate around basing was often around squads, not around single figures.
And that was the crazy thing too. So a large portion of the community was then like, yeah, but if they're changing this, okay, so first off, are they changing only 40K single? Well, surely not. Then it would be 40K and AOS single, right? But is it only the singles then? Or would it extend to large entries? What about people putting single figures into the smaller categories, like Necromunda or whatever? Would there be some kind of restriction there too? And everyone was kind of thinking, yes, but we are talking about diorama bases for units, not for single figures. Yeah. The judges, I actually think the judges have been pretty good with like, okay, so this base for a single figure is too large. We either move it or offer to move it, or it doesn't place as well because it's more of a diorama and we mark it down, kind of. And I think they have been fairly good at that. Maybe like nothing is perfect and people have their own opinions and whatnot. But in my opinion, at least, they have been fairly good with that. Whereas I think the whole Dio thing with units is much harder, right? And where do you kind of draw the line? Because that can be really hard too. Yeah. Is it only about size? Well, rarely. Is it about what is put there? Yes, mostly, right? And does it tell more of a story than it does showcase a unit or whatever? So I would say the big offender in most people's eyes, units, not 40K single.
Yeah, that was always, like the community, not our community, but the community writ large, like just loves a bit of drama, and that is kind of being the flashpoint of, hey, this is quite detailed. I like that. There was a little bit of discussion in regards to single figures, because obviously Neil Hollis's Lazarus, I think it was, like had that issue where it was moved, and then, but largely it's centered around squads. And like, same view as you. Like I'm all for rules changes if they make sense. Like generally my predilection is to always move towards less ambiguity. It's generally better.
Yeah, sure.
Everyone's on the same page. But the exception to that is when it's 80 days away from the competition, where we know in this day and age a lot of people need a lot of time for their entries. And I'll probably come on to the time point later, but that was what kind of spooked me, because I just finished that Blood Angels Captain, and I remember going to bed that night the first rules were released, and because the issue is not doing a basic gaming size. I think most people it's all workable, it's all logical, and you actually think, well, maybe it's actually a bit easier because I can do less on the base. Yeah. The issue is, in my head, it was done. And now I got to reopen that wound to rip it off. All of that is really uncomfortable, the idea of it. So I kind of didn't sleep so well that night either. And then it was like a week later that an addendum was published?
Yeah, because it was close to the weekend, right? Yeah, I think it was close to the weekend, maybe Thursday or something. The rules update came, and then there was a bit of rumor and talk about, okay, so clearly something went wrong, because it wasn't only that, it was also, well, this category isn't even included, and so many things, and it says pins all over, and it says, so it was just riddled with errors that people or the community kind of found. So they needed to kind of update it anyways. And the rumor was then, okay, so I think it was Friday or something like that, probably a rules like errata to the updates came. It didn't. And then it came, I can't remember if it was Monday or Tuesday or something like that, but it was a handful of days later. And I mean, luckily the whole basing thing was not changed. And I say luckily as someone who actually believes that it would be nice to see less diorama-esque bases for the units. Not that I don't enjoy looking at a combined base or whatever we call those bases where an entire unit can go, but they can definitely be kind of overdone. Yeah. So I would personally kind of like to see less of that, but I think the correct thing for me would be to just enforce upon it, say appropriate and mean appropriate, because the more they enforce upon it, the closer people come to, okay, so this is the line. Because I'm all for trying to push the limits, right? And trying to, okay, so maybe I do something cool here, maybe I do something cool there, maybe I can squeeze a bit of extra interest or whatever it is, because paint jobs get better, bases get better. Lots of people are exploring backdrops these days, which is also kind of something you can really play around with, right? And I'm all for it, but I would like them to then enforce upon it, right? So, yeah.
The word appropriate is like, it's this perfectly imperfect word. By design.
Refine it.
Yeah, well,
it's just a refiner.
I guess like part of me is like you in terms of that I think, well, again, like move towards less ambiguity is good, but also there's part of me that's like it's an artistic competition. Having a framework of expression is important, and therefore maybe appropriate is the best word to use. And then like you have views which I kind of subscribe to of like people like Andy Wardle who the old Cult of Paint podcast was like, look, if you don't want to risk it, just don't, like, stick to something that you know will fit within those bounds and don't worry about it. And then you will get people for whom the idea of pushing something like that is a competitive advantage, and they want to push it knowing that there's a risk that it could just get dropped because of they've gone, you flew too close to the sun, you've strapped on your wax wings and you've done something foolish. So I get it. I get it from all angles, but I think the thing that not frustrates me, but the thing I try and bear in mind is if you're going to push it, don't then be surprised if it all goes tits up at the end.
No, of course not. But it's also a matter of, the reason why I would like less ambiguity would definitely be that, sure, pushing something and pushing too far, or not pushing at all and not getting there or even close to, like even though for us, obviously Golden Demon is also kind of PR, right? We get to meet people and show us stuff and hopefully win something and blah, blah, blah. It probably
networking.
Networking, all of that.
Networking.
But even then, single entries for you and me, or at least for me, probably matters much less than it does for most people, in the sense that there will come another demon, I will have another entry, I will submit it, and I will be closer to kind of knowing what is good and what is not good. But there are a fair amount of people, I think, for whom they aren't going to go to 10 golden demons in their career. They are trying to do as well as possible with the time they can, and doing even a single entry into a category is a huge task, especially if you want to push for doing well. So not really knowing, do I push this much or do I push that much? Because you can definitely fall short. I mean, I fully, and this is on me, of course, but I fully believe that something like a mini like Dante, it could have done better if I hadn't given it a shite base. I fully believe
as you
that.
say, do something beautiful and it has a better chance. No. Well, that's why you changed it at the end of the day.
Yes. And it's just to say that for me, I was bummed out, but I knew I was going again. I had a nice and fruitful golden demon anyways, and it wasn't my first entry or only entry. I had others, right? So I was banking much less on one entry. But some people bring one entry that they...
I mean, like that's the obvious flashpoint, isn't it? Is you're thinking of someone like Font being like, being 6 months into the project, he does once a year, and then reading this and being like, you motherfucker.
Yeah, imagine that the whole, but bases are getting a bit too big. And they looked at his shaman and said, well, it's a big base, so I'm sorry, you're in Dio. And it wouldn't stand a chance there. Yeah. I mean, that feels bad too, right? And it's not like, and he's even in kind of our camp too. I mean, he travels to lots of competitions and stuff like that. So it's not like it's his one chance, but it still feels bad, right? So I would like to see them be more specific, I guess, about what is okay and what is not okay. But I get that you don't necessarily want to say, yes, but it's going to be 50 millimeter because that was what was in the box, right? Because it can be a bit boring. It's not like you can be creative within that. Of course you can. It can even foster creativity being kind of hamstringed. But there are definitely some things you couldn't do then. So
50 millimeters wide, infinite depth.
Just
tell a whole story.
Yeah. It's just skyscraper after skyscraper.
Tower models. Yeah, I mean, but that's what would happen, because I completely agree. Like when you constrain things, it's often the point of creativity.
Sure.
But then again, you will have people who will push the boundaries because they think it gives them a competitive advantage, which is fine. You need those people.
Yes.
And then the flip side is we saw it at Spiel. Is like, oh my God, look at these bays, look at this incredible. Oh, it's got a notable. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Why is that? Yeah. And it's not an explicit, well, we're going to mark this down. It could be that. It could be something else. I mean, I wasn't a judge. I wasn't privy to those conversations, but it enters the conversation then was the reason this piece was marked down because it was an overwrought base for a squad entry, for example.
Yes. I think we saw some of that, and it's obviously a kind of like, or at least can be an issue that you get no real feedback from it. I even wish they would do a short summary of this is what we saw, some tendencies or some whatever, hyping the community a bit and saying, well, we did this based on these things, like in general terms. Some bases get a bit big or some entries get a bit large or whatever. Because if something happens, you can kind of allude to some things and people can kind of adjust accordingly. Otherwise, it's really hard, and it is guesswork. And in the end, we love the drama anyway, so it's...
Oh, we love, that's the thing. Yeah, and you'd have like part of me is like, oh, then what would happen is that they would be establishing the meta. You'd get this little piece from the judges being like, yeah, so one of the things that we really liked was a strong application of true metallics across this squad. And then we're like, right,
true metallics,
get rid of this non-met stuff, true metallics are in, let's go. And like, I mean, it's a good opportunity to call out Louise's video from Rogue Hobbies in terms of her Golden Demon history. Like, as someone that's like relatively new to it, watching that was fascinating. Like, oh, the meta here is freehand. Then it shifts. Then it shifts. Then it shifts. And now we're like, I don't know what the meta is now, but it's whatever NRM is doing. That's what the meta is. The meta is BNRM.
Holy moly! Yeah,
just pay as good as him. Easy. Like. No problem. Come on, you Danish people. You can do this.
Can't wait for him to just crush. Dang. I even went through a Golden Demon Companion the other day, and I was like, so he started winning in 22, and he's just, what the heck? This is
into it.
Kind of crazy, huh?
Just inject it into my veins. Let's go. Like,
yeah.
No complaint. Guy can paint, and he's lovely. So definitely.
Yeah.
So that's the meta, is be Danish.
I guess. Yeah.
So that's Adepti-coming. We bought our tickets as well. Bang.
Everything is kind of checked. I even have a visa now to go.
Very good. I need to sort mine out, but I keep telling myself there's some time.
There is.
I will say, as an event professional, that is my other job. Did not like the Adepti-con website. That's just for me. The buying tickets process was not fun. It kept telling me, "Oh, your internet's gone." I'm like, "No, it's not. I know it's not gone. You're just overloaded. I understand why you are, but that's by the by." But obviously, one of the things that we're looking forward to most is in Adepti-con is not necessarily Golden Demon, or that's a big plus, but it is that community aspect that we got so much of at Spiel, and the fact that we're getting to see some of our brothers and sisters from over the pond is very exciting.
Absolutely.
But also it's been a good flashpoint for community going together. So this is maybe a good lead-in for you to talk about something that happened recently that we were kind of a little bit annoyed about.
Yeah, I mean, at least for me, I think every time we have these competitions, we have a small group of or bigger group even, of people going from community. And it's such a nice showcase of people coming together over something that they really love, right? It is every time. And we've been to Spiel, which was in Germany. The other ones have been in the UK, which means this one is a bit special because we get to reach out to like a part of the community that we normally probably wouldn't. And I mean, so of course I have some people I do tuition with, and they are trying to improve and doing their best and pushing, and I'm guiding and all of that. But it also kind of feels like, okay, so having this community is somewhere you can kind of push some things out and get some feedback either directly or indirectly, right? And it leads to, even though people aren't, like, it's not everyone going, it kind of brings people together anyways, because you might see updates of entries, I don't know, 15, 20 times before we go. And people get a bit more invested and kind of into it as we get closer. Yeah, I mean,
I am hyped for like Rob's Night Vixelia. I'm hyped for Rudy's Goblin Blue. Like, those are very exciting to me because I've seen them take shape.
Yeah, we've seen it a lot, and I mean, and that's one of the reasons why. I mean, we tend to kind of be like, okay, so sorry for spamming this all the time, but it's what I'm working on, and I'm exactly the opposite. Spam as much as you want, because it really actually helps me get closer to this project. It's something where I feel more invested in it and feel more, because I want to hype people and others, and I hope I do well. I hope I do better than anyone there. I hope I take a sword, and even though it's probably not that realistic, I hope I'm the one doing the best, of course. But it's not the same as saying I'm not like rooting for everyone else there, because I genuinely am. And the more being exposed to the work and the thoughts behind and stuff like that, well, I want to root even more, right? So I think it is a perfect way of kind of like coming together over things, even to the point where we had community members. Well, one said, I don't know if the classes are really worth it. It seems a bit expensive for a couple of hours of class. Well, two others immediately jumped on and said, well, if you are unsure, I would be happy to sponsor it because I think you would get something from it. And sure, it costs something, and people have different hobby budgets, right? For some people,
and different household budgets and different.
Of course, yeah, definitely. And I think I think it's valid to say I don't think I want to spend that. Like, I'm not getting a Titan, even though a Titan would be cool, basically, because it's really expensive, and I don't know why it's. I mean, so sometimes people are just like, I really want that thing, but I don't think I should because the value
You've
for
cursed
me.
yourself now putting that into the world.
No.
There's going to be like a Titan that arrives on your doorstep.
Fuck,
like,
not
right,
for
when
me.
Are you painting
no,
it?
yeah. I meant in a general sense, definitely.
Oh
not. Yeah, definitely not a Titan for me. No, it would stay in the. I mean, I can't. Oh, just the assembly part.
You got 5 things to do this morning. Now you got 6. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. For the rest of my life. No, but it's just to say. Yes, people have kind of different budgets for what they and expectations for something to be valuable enough, and for others to say, well, I would actually like you to try it. So if it's because you don't think maybe you don't want to invest in it, don't sweat it. I'm going anyways. It's a $3,000 trip for me or whatever. I'll be happy to push you along because I'll be there too, and you can have a seat beside me, and we'll see, because I think you will enjoy it, right?
Yeah,
and
that's something that is this is new to me. Like, that aspect is new to me.
Yeah.
I've heard about this in terms of like, like the World of Warcrafts and things like that. It's, we have this guild and we're all friends. And I think part of me was like, but it's, it's all online. How real is that? And then you actually, you find community in a place that's predominantly online. And now if you said it to me, I'm like, no, these people are my friends. That's ridiculous to suggest they're anything else. And I think part of me is like, well, that's an internal thought. That's an internal emotion. And then you hear about, this person was unsure, and these 2 people, and like, to shout out good people like Max and Rob, are like, hey, we'll help you out. Like, that. I think both of us said, like, we were a little bit teary-eyed that because it shows.
Fucking was. Yeah.
Like, it shows the meaning. Like, this works best if you and I, and I'm not saying this will happen, but you and I die tomorrow and an element of community remains, because it's bigger than 2 people. It's bigger than one person. Like, that's what matters. And then you see that realized. Like, this isn't us being like, hey, guys, one of our members really needs help. Would you? This is just like natural things that are happening. And that was really humbling. That was really quite.
And it's actually one of the things I've enjoyed the most the past, I'd say, even couple of months. Everyone has been really busy, especially me, because, well, I had basically from mid-October, I had Nelly full time and had to get her into daycare, and I'm spending a lot of time doing tuition and feedback and trying to be present in community and stuff like that. And it does take a lot of time and effort too, of course, but it's just seeing other people kind of like drive something, even when you take the foot a bit off the pedal. It's not like you and I know that, of course, we need to be there and to interact and engage and stuff like that. But it's really nice to see a change from, well, in the beginning, we were not that many people. Everyone was like trying to find their footing and who's who and what can be said and done and whatnot. Now, when new people arrive, they have an easy time falling in because someone will always pick them up. It doesn't have to be you. It doesn't have to be me. It doesn't have to be anyone really, but someone is almost always present to kind of pick them up and tell this is how we do things and engage them in interaction, conversation, and whatnot, which is really, well, us seeing it come together. I think in a bigger sense, that even when we're not there or can be as present, well, others will lend a helping hand, and some people are newer painters and they will need guidance.
Yes.
Well, they can have it.
Yeah,
right?
It's support. Support is sometimes support's I'm feeling it really tough to pick up the brush at the moment. Okay, well, how can I help you? Like,
yes.
Sometimes it's just, you want to bitch and moan? That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
We're not going to do solutions. We're just going to let you vent. Sometimes it's, maybe I'd like to do something like this, but I can't afford it, or I just don't have that budget right now. Then it's, hey, and none of that's a prerequisite. None of that like is, oh, you're not part of a community member unless you're X, Y, and Z. Of course not.
No,
it's just like, it shows that the social structures that people have built are so much bigger than just we're a group of mini painters who share whips and that's it.
Exactly, and it's funny because it's something we have talked about recently. Actually, that the whole number one priority for us was actually that it never turned into something where people generally would just come and dump a picture and get some likes or whatever. Because we, almost all of us at least, use Instagram for it, right? So this was always supposed to be somewhere to hang out, however much you wanted it, right? So there has never been and will never be any pressure in the sense that you should do these things because otherwise you can't be like a member. The only thing is we won't ever open it to like a free membership because we want people to be there because they want to be there, not because it's free and you can dump a picture, right? So, and it's not like, well, you could do the same for a $10 subscription, of course, but it usually means that if you're more inclined to just use it as an outlet for your sharing, you generally don't want to pay for it, or at least a very low amount. So, yeah, we have even talked about,
like, if you have paid for it, you might be like, okay, well, I've paid for this. What else is going on?
Yeah, exactly.
They're talking about this. Oh, they're talking about, you know, there's several channels that I have muted because I have no interest in them, but people like talking.
Yeah, of course. Yes.
I assume they're just bad-mouthing me in those channels, and that's absolutely fine.
I mean,
the magic channel, I assume, is just, naught.
Yeah, filth.
The unmoderated hellscape that is trading card games.
Yeah, very fitting too. Yeah.
So, Adepti-con is happening.
Yeah.
Golden Demon and Adepti-con is happening. We are going, and it's a good reminder that if you're going, we want to see you. We want to chat to people.
We definitely do.
Really love fun. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Don't hold back. We can say it in every podcast from now to getting there. Don't be too shy to get to us and say hello. Maybe it won't be hours and hours of conversations, but don't hold back.
I will be with you. Like, you catch you at the right time. That's it. Game over.
Yeah. Well, that's a weekend gone. Yeah. Just trailed off with some guy and.
No, he's in a van. He's crossing state lines. Don't worry about it.
So no, it's just to say that definitely don't hold back. Come and say hello, and would really love to see whatever you brought and have a bit of a talk with you. Of course, it's but I'm just saying it because it can be a bit. Maybe I shouldn't go and disturb. And we're really there to be disturbed, not only but also.
And I'd say that's been true for like everyone I've spoken to. Like that was my first like inclination when I saw Zamikito at Spiel. I'm like, oh, you got me into the hobby. Can I say hello to you? I'm like, yeah, of course I can. He's just a normal dude.
Yes.
Hi. And then you have a conversation. Like, wow, take that away. I mean, I am coming for Vince Venturella. This is important to me. I'm like, this dude is a hobby hero. I'm gonna say hello to that dude. And if he's not coming, then I'll be devastated. But that'll be fine. That's a me issue I have to work out. So that's Adepti-con. I want to talk to you about competition.
Yeah.
I have a few things that I've noticed.
Oh boy.
And the thing that struck me is the schedule is punishing.
Yep.
I have noticed this because I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm going to get this done for Adepti-con, and then, I got to get these done for spiel, assuming it's spiel, it's, a big caveat on that, but, assuming it's spiel, then actually, well, it doesn't really leave much time for X, Y. And, like, I realize I'm in this kind of cycle then.
Yeah.
Of, like, and that's a weird feeling. What's your feeling of this?
Yeah, I try to not think about it too much. Because it stresses. Yeah, honestly, because
it's like me and climate change. Just don't think about it.
It stresses me a bit knowing. So I actually for Adepti-con had some ideas of what I wanted to bring, and I didn't because I was like, if I finish this and bring it, what am I bringing to Spiel? So I actually pushed some things because I was like, then I think I'll rather spend more time on this project, push it for Spiel, and then have something to bring. I mean, this is saying that you can obviously bring stuff that didn't win. You can retouch and whatever, and you can still bring it. But there is kind of also like how many times do you want to re-enter something and whatnot? So, but it becomes more apparent why people generally have kind of like, this is the cycle. I'll take my entries through this cycle of competitions, and when they've gone, they are retired, right? And you shelve them, and that was their life. And then hopefully in the meantime, you kind of focus on other entries, so you have something to bring. Because bringing something new to, I think there is a competition somewhere in Europe and Adepti-con every month. I think so. The next, maybe not every month, but
if it's not every month, a few months have 2 or 3 that make up for it.
I'd say so. Yeah. So I think you could be traveling, as often as monthly for these things. And I definitely couldn't bring something new to all of them. So it, at least this year, has been something where, okay, so where do we want to go? And Adepti-con was chosen, well, mainly by me, actually. And then I kind of tricked you into...
Good honesty. I'm learned that when you're quite enthusiastic about something, I'm a little helpless babe and will go along with it, which is a dangerous power for you to have.
Yeah. And I'll be saying, but I'm dangerous on my own, so can you hold my hand? And
you're pretty much like, hey, if I go to this on my own, I will definitely go missing forever. Yeah. I don't want that on my soul.
That. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's on you, Bruce, if it happens. Yeah, so it's so I kind of tricked you into it, but it was very deliberate that I chose it because, I want Golden Demon. There's something about Golden Demon, and it might change. I don't know, but because I haven't been to open competitions in general, but yes, I want Golden Demon. It's something I haven't painted for years and years and years, so I wasn't there in the heydays. But I knew about it even back then. Even locally, I came to game stores, and some of the back then Danish top painters were there painting, right, and displaying stuff, and I knew about the competitions from White Dwarves, and even though I wasn't collecting or gaming, I still knew about it because I was kind of hobby adjacent in the sense that we played cards, but turns out they sell cards and figures the same places. So exactly. So there is kind of like an overlap, and I had tons of friends who were to some extent playing or painting as we were kids and teenagers.
Yeah,
so I knew about it.
It's the most known. Like
yes,
it is in the popular consciousness in some way of people of a certain age, I think.
Yeah, and so I want to go, and it might be that I don't want to go forever, of course, but for now at least I want to go, and especially because it was either that or Nova, right? if we were to kind of decide going to the US, and not that I would have liked to go to Nova too, but timing and like scheduling in a year, not a lot else is happening in March. So it had been kind of like a lull from last Golden Demon, getting some stuff done for MPO online, and then traveling in March. So it was a nice start to the year. So I'm kind of, well, I am planning on it. I will have to I kind of told my wife, but
So you didn't tell your wife? Like, no one says kind of in that way if they've told someone.
In the sense that I did, but I didn't say specific dates or how long or
you mentioned
anything.
it in passing.
But I kind of mentioned
There's
it
an
in
event
yes.
in America.
No, not this one, but for 26, going to Crystal Brush. So it might not be going to America in 26. It might be Australia instead, right? So this year it was Adepti-con, but I plan on doing, because I can kind of, well, one thing is afford because it's really expensive actually, but another thing is it is a long trip, and I definitely can't be doing that. I mean, I woke up this morning and my foot was hurting.
We're falling apart now.
Because I'm pushing towards 40, and I mean, so even sitting in a plane for 8 hours, I'm cooked.
Entropy, baby. This is it.
Yeah, it's terrible. So it's just to say that. Yeah. So I definitely can't be doing that every month or every other, even if I had the funds for it. So I think next year will probably be, I mean, it's really easy to go to the UK. It's really easy to go to Germany or whatever. It's just not that far, even though you still need to have a plane ride and whatnot.
So I guess like to get back on that like original idea is like you're just not thinking about the competition schedule.
No, we kind of talked about where do we want to go for the year, which ones are important to us, and we both chose Adepti-con, MPO, because you went last year and said it was amazing. So this year I'm like, let me have some of that amazing, and we'll see how that goes. And then the next one is BME for me. Was it start July, I think?
World Model Expo, which is in France this year.
Yes. Because then we have kind of going out of MPO a couple of months, and then I can go to VME, and then a couple of months, and then hopefully Spiel. And that should, I'm still hoping I can make Monty, but we'll see. Oh, I really want to go. We'll see.
A bit special, isn't it? But
yeah. We'll have to see. But the other ones are scheduled, and it's all cleared, and the wife said yes, and everything. So
damn, the wife said yes.
Yeah. So those are So the rest of them, I don't really think about it too much. I paint some stuff. So MPO and VME, I can bring anything because I haven't shown my stuff outside of Golden Demon anyways. So it's not like it's 5-year-old anything and re-entering. It's bringing whatever, and all of it is fairly new.
Yeah.
So it's only really Spiel.
I think from my point of view, like the way I've rationalized it is Adepti-con and Golden Demon is important to me because I want to get that level above notable. That to me is you give me an award, and I just want to see if I can hit the level above it. That is important to me, and that's that's a real drive to do it. Whether that's at Adepti-con or Spiel, like that's what I would like to aim for. But then with like some of the other open competitions, I'm kind of more resigned to actually So Squidmore's happening at the moment. Squidmore open, and I entered that in Masters. So first time in Masters, and because it's in Masters, I'm not expecting anything because Masters is full of murderers. And that's okay.
It is.
I eventually want to compete with those murderers.
Yeah.
But I understand there's an element of stuff takes time. So it's kind of the ability to actually, okay, I'm going to go a bit crunchy for Golden Demon and things because I want that level above. And maybe with the other stuff, I'm going to pare back a little and just focus on improvement, doing paint jobs that, I wouldn't paint this if I was going for competition because I don't think I could paint it well. It's a learning tool and less of a competition tool. And so that's the approach I more want to take because I don't want to be in a position of feeling that I have to paint for a schedule all the time. I think it's really helpful occasionally, but all the time is you're just going to be exhausted and sick of the hobby. And I do enough task scheduling in my job. I don't want to do it in my hobby.
Yeah, and generally I don't do that anyways, right? Because I don't specifically paint for competition. I paint for a look.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm looking at a piece here, and if I like it enough, well, it goes to competition. If I don't enjoy the look of it too much when I'm done, well, odds are actually if I don't enjoy it too much the look of it, I won't ever finish it. Probably it will be 90% finished and probably never will finish it. But they kind of had the same life up until there, so I can bring something, right?
It's why I'd love to get someone like Font on here to because my gut feel is that he must feel incredible pressure, surely, because we joked before Spiel. It's okay, he knows how to play into the reveal. You can only do that if you're at the top of your game, but being at the top of your game is bloody exhausting. If you're Usain Bolt in his heyday, everyone wants to run faster than you. There's an expectation that you break world records almost, and feeling that weight of expectation must be hellish,
Yeah, I do wonder actually if he's just that good, kind of
maybe it's just
Phelps.
I am this good. I am that guy.
Yeah, Phelps, right? Who just swam and no one could really beat him. And I mean, maybe it is the case that of course you feel some pressure, but if you feel like people are catching you probably feel more pressure than if you feel like people aren't really catching you. But I can definitely see having so I can see if you kind of rock up to competition and everyone is expecting you to bring something amazing and basically expecting you to take a gold if not competing for a sword, right? So yeah, Albert, if you want to talk, reach out.
It would be an hour of us asking really crunchy Golden Demon questions.
Yeah. So how do you pick that specific color of whatever?
That man's mind. I'd love to root in that.
But I agree. It would be exciting, and it is. I think I'm in still a position of, there's not that much expectation when it comes down to it. I mean, there are loads of other guys out there where we've seen so much fantastic stuff from them, and they've been crunching and crunching and crushing and crushing. And when Clayton shows up, we kind of expect him to just murder, right? And the same with Soper. And so, I mean, we could be pointing towards people endlessly.
Those waters are deep, and the monsters within it are large.
Exactly.
There are some we know there's certain names. It's when they're firing on all cylinders,
they bring something really good, and it's not to say that others can too. And it's sometimes they are beat, but there is some kind of expectation, right? There definitely is, and I try to think not too much about it and paint something that I think is nice. I had a talk with Liam from Phoenix Miniatures, and the idea of bringing a single thing and putting everything on the line for that single thing does not appeal to me, because I know that any of 100 guys could beat you on the day. So I would rather bring 3 things is kind of like the sweet spot of how much time can you dedicate and how many entries have you then used up in your cycle. And Adepti-con, I think maybe it's more like 4 or 5 entries, but it's just to say that more than one, definitely. About 3, maybe 4 or 5 pieces would be ideal. So you have more to show, because sometimes it is really on a knife's edge. What do judges like and how did it do?
Yeah.
I mean,
if an element is luck, therefore, in principle,
Yeah, or
the more entries you have, like the more luck you can possibly run into. Like there's an element of gamifying it, isn't there?
and it also just, I mean, it only takes 3 people to push you out of a demon. That's the truth of it. So you can get into, even though maybe it is a smaller category. Yeah, but if the 3 right persons are there on the day, you're not getting a demon.
Yeah. And there
It
are
could be
enough
only you
excellent
4.
painters that there will always be 3 excellent entries. Like you have
Yes.
to.
Yes.
There are no easy categories. Like you
No.
have to. If you
it's
want
over.
to take one of those spots, you have to beat one of those people at their best. Like if you
Yeah.
want to take a Blood Bowl spot, you have to be
Yeah.
willing to beat NRM at his best. Good luck with that.
Yes.
He's real good. Like off you go.
Yeah, and it's the truth, and it's one of the reasons why I actually fairly often get asked, what category should I? Well, the one you want to paint for. I mean, to be frank about it, every one of them is hard.
Yeah.
It's not going to be easy. If you're aiming for a demon, it's going to be rough anyways. So you might as well paint the one that you kind of like and you want to. It's not to say, of course, some of them are bigger. And personally, I would really like a demon in 40k single, of course, because, I mean, it's something special, and it's one of those where most entries are, and lots of the big names put some amazing stuff. So, of course, I would want that. But it's just to say that it's not, the others aren't easy. It's not getting really any systems. Not really, no.
40k and AOS single are the most entered, but
yeah,
I would be very curious if you kind of broke it down in terms of like Golden Demon winners or people that have achieved Golden Demon commended. Are the numbers actually roughly the same across all categories? Like,
I wonder.
Most people, if they're like take Spiel, if you've got like your average hobbyist who's like, you know what, it's in Germany for the first time, I'm going to enter something, I have a 40k single model, I'm going to throw it in there. You're probably not going to be the kind who's like, oh, I've got a Blood Bowl model.
No.
And actually, if you're at that competitive level, and I mean competitive in the sense of Golden Demon, you're probably like, oh, I can put it in X, Y, and Z. Like, there are just, I think it's fair that the singles are looked at like quite prestigious. But anyone who's won a demon is like, oh, sugar, you won a demon. You must be one of the best painters. That's just how it is.
Yeah, so maybe the density is higher in the 40, like in the singles, right? But I mean, they also have more, as you said, more entries of people. I mean, there is a bigger chance that you have a small dude that you painted for your army or whatever, that you put some time into and it looks really good, then you have a big monster or a tank or whatever. Well, maybe you have that, but did you take as much care? Probably not, right? So it's really also about that it sees more entries because it is quote unquote easier to have something to enter into that category, right?
Yeah,
so
completely.
Yeah, so it's no, don't think too much about it. Paint something that you really like.
You're going to be staring at it for a while.
And also bear in mind that anything can happen at these competitions, right? So you should go because you want to meet people and display some things and have a good time, not to snag a trophy because, well, sometimes you do and sometimes you don't.
And that's it. That's all competition sorted.
Yes.
Just before we get on to like what we've been painting, we've had the reveals this morning of the
right.
new
Yes,
models.
yes.
I just wanted to mention this. Of course, the big one is a shed load of Emperor's Children, but open question, is there anything that's really caught your eye from these new releases?
Yeah, as I said this morning, I actually like that. Was it the leaked one, the Death Guard?
Yes. Yeah. Some guy from Reddit got it in a packet and was like, "This doesn't seem like what I've ordered."
It must happen on purpose. I cannot understand it. It's so weird. I mean, maybe someone did it on purpose, but the company itself didn't do it on purpose. But it seems so weird to me that you have kind of like a stock of things that they can't go out, and they slip out anyways. I cannot fathom it. So it feels kind of on purpose.
Know who was fired? That's all.
Yeah, exactly. But I actually quite like that guy. I think to the point where even though I'm not a Death Guard enjoyer in general, I think I actually want to paint that one.
Lord of Pox is his name.
Yeah. Yes.
Good name.
Yes, indeed. I feel lucky that I don't. I mean, Emperor's Children is not that much for me. I like them more in 30K actually than I do in 40K. So I don't have to spend a lot of money on new Fulgrim or was it Lucius and.
Lucius.
Well, yeah. Well, I actually think that's a great model. I think the golden angle is a bit. I would have liked it to be better.
You want the open pose. You want that sword displayed pristine across.
Yeah, in some way, I just want, and it doesn't have to be perfect, but a bit more I would have liked personally. But I think it's a really nice piece, both for gaming, but also for like displaying in hand.
Yeah,
I think so.
The Lucius is. I mean, I'd largely echo that. I think. I mean, any Nurgle, I'll be like, hey, this is cool. There is something about a big Nurgle sword that gets me excited.
Yeah.
Because there's so much you could do with that. But then, that idea of Lucius, there's something about that Lucius design I quite like. Chaos often, like, chaos outside of Nurgle doesn't necessarily inspire me much. But then occasionally I'll see a piece and I'll be like, oh, that's kind of cool. Yeah. I should get that. So I'd be surprised if I didn't end up with that Lucius at some point. I think the Emperor's Children writ large across that release are really nice.
They are.
Exceptions. I don't like that cacophonous, stupid model. I hate it. But the skeletons, vampire things are.
Yeah. They are really nice. It's mostly that they are also quite big, so I don't think. I mean, a vampire on a horse and whatnot. It's the odds of me painting it up they are just low. So
but what if you got a dream about doing it?
Yeah. Then I would have to go out and get it, and well, first off, we will see how the last dream went for me.
Pans out. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, exactly. And then so it all hinges on that, I guess.
Damn, God, no pressure then. Crikey.
Yeah. So it's they had some nice releases, definitely did. Yeah.
And like it's good to see, like, continuing to see stuff like Necromunda get awesome releases. Like,
yes.
I think Necromunda is just a really interesting like place. Like these models, GW continues to put out cool models. Like I love a bust. I adore a bust. It's great fun painting a bust. There are so many cool miniatures out there, but there's something about a Warhammer miniature. I'm like, this is really cool. I really like this. Like,
I think so too. Yeah.
So the final section is always what we've been painting. What we've been painting and what we've been learning.
Yes.
You have been painting an Ogren.
I have been. I finished up the Blood Bowl Dwarf and was kind of at the crossroads of, do I give him some buddies and make it into like a small cutout of a field, and then have him and two others or whatever. Then I was like, yeah, but that's also really boring. So I might at some point, but I was a bit overpainting that red armor, and the other guys needed red armor. So yeah, it got shelved, and it is almost done.
As much as I love the idea of you doing a squad, I can't see it personally.
No, that's my issue, right? But I think I will give him 2 buddies, 2 of the goblins or whatever they are from the box, and then 3 dudes on a bit of a pitch, and then it should be enterable. Not that it wasn't before, but I don't think it will make any splash. And this is me speculating, but I think you want to have more. I think you want to be able to show more than one model in nicely painted armor and shiny golden trim and whatnot. I think you want to be able to show something more, because otherwise I think you will lose out to the people who did show more. And it's, no one can know what they are looking for, but if you do something special, like if you sculpt something or have more models or more of a scene or more whatever, it is I think naturally going to give you some kind of edge. Not to say that one pristine model can actually give you a demon, because it could.
It could and has. What was it? Was the lizard? That's always the one.
Yeah. Yes. Everyone is talking about the skink that
skink. That's the word.
Yeah.
Sorry, law police, don't come after me. But if you do a skink painted perfectly, it can win a Slayer sword like that.
It can, and it's not to say that you couldn't either. With like Lazarus took a sword too, and it's not so you don't have to at all. But sometimes you can look at a mini and be like, it's probably not special enough to do really well, right? So that was shelved, and we moved into Ogren territory. So I picked one of those, and I was looking so long because I actually wanted the gang box, because it would give you more options. But I genuinely couldn't find one.
That's sad.
What the heck? I mean, I don't know what. Maybe it's discontinued or something, or I don't know what's going on.
With Necromunda, they go out of print and things like that.
Yeah, right. So I couldn't get that box, and I mostly wanted it to be able to have access to more things and more poses and more whatnot. But I ended up with something that I thought was enough for a single dude, and I had two I could build from the soda box.
Is it plastic sprue?
Yeah. It is. I choose only plastic sprues because I can't be fucked with resin and stuff like that. It's just terrible. So yeah, I go for plastic. Yeah.
Smart, real smart. Turns out.
And I ended up doing this one, and I wanted kind of like a specific look to it too. So I had to do some converting and grinding, and I'm looking at it here because I'm not a fan of too much faff, too much dangly, all kinds of things. So I kind of wanted the robot arm or power fist or whatever to be the simple one, but that goes on the arm that I wanted him to have the wrench in, so I couldn't have both. And then, but some dremeling and whatnot later.
All things can be solved by a bit of dremeling.
Yes, and we are there. So I have been enjoying it. It was it took me a bit of time and a bit of courage to kind of find a blue that I was happy with, and I think I've found the blue that I think is the one I want to go with. So now it's just paint it and do a tutorial on it too.
Easy. Draw the rest of the owl. Come on.
Yeah. So that's what I've been painting lately, and then the goal is to finish that Blood Bowl unit or whatever we want to call it, and I wanna start a Tyrant after this one. I think for AOS single. I wanted to bring that to
single.
I wanted to bring it to Adepti-con, but
timing. Got to work that schedule. It's tough. You have to make, you have to
it
choose.
really is. Yeah.
What would you say is the number one thing you've learned from the Ogrin so far? Is it a case of like you have to get the model right before you paint it because you made all those changes to the power?
I think so. For me, it was getting started, figuring out, okay, so do I like it enough so that this is actually a model that I want to finish? Well, I did, so now I have to figure more. And I think it gave me a bit of boost thinking about the basing, which I never do. I always do it after the fact.
At the end,
shouldn't. Yep. You shouldn't. Never. You should never. You should plan it out. Don't do like I do. And so this go around, I actually had some thoughts about it and went to the hobby store and built a base and whatnot. I haven't painted on it yet, but I will. And I will try and record at least some of it. It can be a bit because it has some elements on it, right? So we don't want to make a 10-part series on me painting barrels. But I don't think so. Maybe not that much. So building the base gave some momentum at least, and then having an idea, getting enough colors down, because this project that kind of went as I like, or it was less fleshed out. Well, only really the flesh was actually out.
Fleshed out.
Yeah. So the rest of it was kind of adjusting to that and having an idea of, okay, so I know I want to do blue, but what specific blue and figuring out. So yeah, you can definitely do that. Even though we say plan as much as you can, well, sometimes it's about getting into it and having some fun and be inspired, right? And moving a project along that. It depends on what kind of Ollie, for example, can do. Everything is built, everything is primed, everything is planned, then it's crunch time. Yeah. Well, that's fair enough if you're that kind of
exactly.
Of
yeah,
painter.
It's what works for you at the end of the day. That's the
100%.
the correct approach.
Yeah.
I mean, conversely,
yeah.
Oh,
it's been good, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it has. Like, I mean, it hasn't. Obviously, it hasn't. So there's the Malstrain Coalescence.
Yes.
Which I saw, and I thought, I love that. Because I love the thing. And that looks cool. That looks unlike anything I've seen yet from GW.
Yeah.
I want to paint it.
I agree.
And I ordered it. When it came on for pre-order, I ordered that and the alpha. And they arrived. And I assembled the Coalescence, and it was hell. It was hell to assemble. Resin, GW resin, and it was hell. Not fun. And it required an inhuman amount of gap filling. And even though the model is quite small and quite simple, came in way too many pieces. And okay, fine, I did it. And I had such a bad time, I put off assembling the alpha. And the alpha was even worse. Like I thought the Coalescence was bad. And so I was kind of assembling those when I was finishing off the Blood Angel Captain. And I have said this to a lot of people. The Blood Angel Captain kit is incredible. It is one of the best I've ever had from GW. Like, dream to assemble. Practically no like mold lines to get rid of. Like across the board. And then I go in for that to the Coalescence. And like Space Marines, there is logic to how they are painted. There is an understandable approach. And then the Coalescence is like, it's a flesh blob. What do you want to do, boy?
Yeah. It really is.
And so I started painting it, and I knew within the first 30 minutes that I was in trouble. It's like, I am in trouble here. None of this is working. Why isn't it working? What the hell is going on? And I became, for a short period of time, my least favorite person, because all I was doing was moping about painting the coalescence, which is not like, that's not a mentality I find particularly productive. It's not a headspace I want to be in. Like it's pretty miserable. And I knew, I'm going to chuck this thing. I was in the same headspace I was before I chucked the Leviathan Dreadnought.
Never forget.
Never forget. And I was like, I'm ready to bin this bad boy. And then I just, part of me just didn't want to throw in the towel on it. And part of
also, it would have meant I won, right?
That also would, and that would be the absolute worst outcome. But, you know, we were talking earlier about community, being that support, and it was just talking it through with people. And like, Comica was like, hey, what if you thought about it this way as opposed to this way? And so I kind of took all that on board, and I resisted the urge to immediately bin it. And I sat down with it and I rubber ducked it. So I just talked it through like I did to a stranger. What do I like about it? What do I not like about it? And so I was through that stage and I was like, oh, I hate the paints I've picked. The colors aren't working.
Yeah.
I have picked an approach that isn't working for me or my strengths. Yeah. Why don't I just change it all up? And I'd put 10 hours into the model and I just started a game. Yeah. And that was the best decision. That was like, I got a little bit into repainting it and I was like, right, okay, I know this is working because I've moved more in an hour than I had in 10. Like, yeah. And then that's how you know it's clicking. Like, I got the new flash recipe that was working. I started working on a far more limited palette than I had previously, and everything started coming together. And that's when I started to have fun with it. And that's when I was like, okay, we're rescued here, we're safe. Yeah. Of which, like, the lesson is, if something's really not working, it's okay not to push through it and just ask the question, why isn't it working? And that's probably going to help you in the long run. But that's now that I'm through that, I kind of want other people to paint this model because it is so unlike anything else I've had from GW. It is singular. It is like, it's not a Warhammer model. It's so so much of it is just like, you're going to have to creatively interpret this. You're going to have to see how this flows into that.
Maybe like, that's why I don't like it too much, huh?
It wouldn't surprise me. It's so singular. Yeah, I was looking at it. It's just so different. I just love it.
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
Yeah, and so we've gone back to, here's the joy I found. This is nice. And so, that was the lesson is, it's okay to ask yourself why something is working. And that's probably quite important.
Another thing with the project was that it was actually planned out to be a unit, right? Yeah. We talked and designed a base to So it was something, and then, well, that is not working for me. And now you switched it up so it goes into
still goes into Necromunda. It's just it will be a single 3. But I mean, part of me is like, being honest with myself, there's like, it's not an entry that I have high hopes for. I think I've actually painted it really well, and I'm continuing to paint it really well, but it's not something I'm like, this is my chance for Golden Demon Glory. I think the Blood Angel Captain is probably the best thing I've painted recently. But from a learning experience and from like a headspace experience, it's way more valuable than that. I would like to re-enter it with the 3. It's just, I know mentally I can't paint 3 in a row. I can't paint it on the time that's available for Adepti-con. So now this is the thing that I can be criticized for. Well, actually, I can be criticized for an awful lot. That turns out I am imperfect. Is thinking, wow, this experience with resin has been a living hell. I'm never doing Games Workshop resin again. 5 seconds later, wow, that Pussmore Blood Bowl piece is great. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's resin. I'm sure this time it'll be fine. Mm-hmm. Not learning.
I mean, we don't know yet. Maybe it is. I mean, is it one of those situations where just because we've pushed the fork out from the table and it always lands on the floor, do we know for certain that it will always? So maybe just push that fork, and
if this
someday that kid will,
and it's as bad as the Coalescence.
Oh goodness me!
I will burn down Games Workshop's headquarters. I won't legally,
We won't,
Mr.
we won't,
FBI.
no,
yeah,
no.
Mr. FBI one. This is not a serious threat, but
Yeah.
but yeah, if Games Workshop are wondering why they can't cast any more of the alphas, it's because I found bits of the mold in my resin kit. That's how bad it was. So just buyer beware.
It's actually a shame because some of those models are really, really cool, really good, and even models that I would want. And every time I find out, it's a resin kit, I'm instantly turned off. Not only because, well, some of them aren't too bad, but I just don't want to risk it. I don't want to have a kit that I'm really excited to go get into, struggle with everything, not just painting. It's from cutting it out, figuring pieces, cutting flash, gluing, gap filling, sanding, more filling, sanding, priming. Oh, I didn't sand enough. New sanding, new priming. No, I don't want that. And then you've painted, I mean, I think I've said it before, but seeing AC Miniatures with a Horus model that was, I don't know, 80% painted and rubbing off paint because you have to handle it. And the resin is really privy to, you will rub that paint right off. And he still needed to gap fill and do stuff because otherwise that fur, it just would not fit. I can't. I cannot. I won't. I'm not that guy. I'm not strong enough. I know it. I will chuck that motherfucker right in the bin. I will never finish any of them. I struggle doing it with perfect kits anyways.
That was in the darkest moment of will I chuck this? I remember I got the Grandfather's Gardener's Underworld set.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful plastic kit. Gorgeous plastic kit. And I got it down and I opened the box and I just looked at the sprues for 5 minutes. I was just like, fuck. Life could be, I could be doing these right now.
It could be easy.
Look how beautiful these plastic kits are.
They just fit.
They just fit. Yeah. It's just well made. But no, we pushed through. We found the problem. I'm really looking forward to having him done, but I'm actually really enjoying the painting process. And there is something in terms of you do a Space Marine, there's not a lot of organics in this, and then you do a coalescence. It's all organics. And that it brings me back to what I love most about painting Nurgle, which is like flesh and blood and real stuff. It just, I don't know, there's something about when that comes to life in front of you, it's magical and quite fun. Right, we've gone late again. We're quite good at this recently.
Yeah. That's
anything you want to close off on?
Nope.
Just don't buy resin. See you at Adepti-con.
If you want to buy all the resin that you want, just know that the kits can be you've done it to yourself. Yeah. And reach out at Adepti-con.
Yes.
It's
come see us.
We're not far out. So if you haven't started painting your projects yet, looking at you, Phoenix, you
got 68 days.
Get going. No, I think he actually did start. But get moving.
Cool.
It's soon.
Yeah, get moving. It's soon, and it'll happen before you know it. And we'll be doing lots of content for it, obviously.
Yeah.
Otherwise, things that are going on in the community, we're halfway through the Critter Challenge, which is one of our monthly challenges, which just so happens to coincide with the lovely Infernal Brushes challenge. So a little bit of cross-community interaction there, which is fun.
Yeah.
And then the February challenge has been picked, and it wasn't basing again. Wouldn't you know it? It's the Dwarf Challenge. So we are painting dwarves like lunatics in February. That's going to be the challenge. But if that sounds interesting, you might want to consider joining the community. Obviously, if you're interested in the Patreon series, we have the Ogren, which Man has mentioned, and is being painted. And there's we're going to be releasing some videos on YouTube, which are the start of some of the tutorials that are on the Patreon, so people can access them. So the Saurus and a few others that are really quite exciting and interesting. Stormcast as well in there. So there's a lot going on. If you're interested, check us out on Patreon. Continue to check us out on YouTube. But for now, that's it. Thank you so much for watching, for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.